Greetings, everyone. I know it's been a while since I've been on, so I figured I'd jump back on and kind of just say, "Hey, this is what I've been up to," and kind of give um, an opinion on some things that have been sent my way, so to speak. First, let's talk about the things that have come my way. First of all, if you are hired to do a job, you should see yourself as a contractor and fulfill your duties, meaning do the work that you are employed to do to the best of your abilities. This includes spiritual work, creation of phylacteries, or just basic mundane way of living. I'm not one to be a part of the world because, let's face it, I don't really care what people do or believe. I find it mostly insanity, unlogical, and most importantly, hypocritical. A lot of duality when it comes to the public. That's just my opinion. But when a client comes to me personally, I do the work. For an example, I had a client come to me needing a trapezo, a langa, a gris gris, something to deal with protection. This afternoon, this evening, really, making two phylacteries. Two phylacteries. Took roughly about 15-30 minutes in the oven. Not joking, 15 to 30 minutes. They were that small. And it's based off the thickness of the clay. Okay. This matter of letting it cool down, painting it, and placing the seals upon it. Very quick. Okay. So I've let it sit in those two sit in the kitchen for roughly the last few hours, you know, to cool down, and I've already got them painted. I just got to put the seals on them and ship them out tomorrow. The day after, literally the day after their creation, they're being sent out. You see, you know the difference between a showman and a practitioner. A practitioner doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. This means that you don't have to sit there and flaunt your abilities. You don't need a website saying, well, I offer this, this, and this. Who gives a shit? That's called pride and ego. Yeah, a little bit of pride in your work is always good. You know, I told my boss is, for an example, is very impressed with my work. I have everything done or just about done by 4 o'clock in the morning when we open. And when I'm there by myself, 9 times out of 10, I'm there. I have to do the baking. I have to set up the store. I have to clean the store, get everything, food wise out onto the floor, deal with customers by 4 a.m. And this is inside the lobby, on the goes, and through the drive through window, all by myself. Okay. That's one person doing the job of five people. Okay. We used to open up at 5 a.m. Okay. I looked at my boss when he said, "I can't believe how much you get done." And I said, "Let me put it to you this way, sir. This is you guys. This is me. Catch up. Plain and simple. Catch up. Basically, this is what you thought the bar was, this is what you thought the bar was, and I just showed you that you can take it up here." Okay. And I do this every single day because I'm putting in 150%. Just me. I don't look at it as a competition with other people. I don't. Okay. And this is why. When you look at it as a race to see who can become more powerful, if you look at it as who can become the most famous or the most popular, okay, then it becomes about ego and pride. You want to be the best, then prove it by doing the work. Okay, that's the way I look at it. So, a true practitioner of the arts is not going to sit there and flaunt what they can do. Okay, they're not going to sit there and throw in your face, "This is my speciality. This is what I'm good at. You're going to pay me $1,000 for my services or fuck off." You know, you know, I am the best. This person's not. Who cares about that? A true practitioner doesn't have to flaunt their abilities. They don't have to sit there and put out so many videos on the magic that they perform to show you that they're the best. I know with all this technology at your disposal, they want you to get a certain number of followers. They expect you to have a certain amount of followers. They have an expectation of how many watch hours you have to keep your channel at the forefront of society, the most talked about. This is called ego driven. It's pride, it's envy, it's greed. Because the more you put out, the more they're going to get. Just like any corporation, the little people don't really matter. It's all about money and greed. It's about popularity. You wanting to be a practitioner, do the work. Keep your head down. Don't get into the drama or the chaos that is out there. It does not matter. Okay. Now, you take me for an example. Okay. The last month and a half, I have been up to my earlobes in studying, researching. I spent, I don't know how many hours in my temple doing rituals when I am not at the work, the job. I am in there or I am here working. When people realize you haven't even left your outer temple or your inner temple in days, and they have to knock on the door and call you just to make sure you're okay. Hey, you still alive? I had a friend, I went out, I ordered DoorDash tonight. He came in and he says, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. You doing okay?" I said, "Yeah, just keeping to myself, isolation, you know, doing what I do best." And then just a little bit ago, my ex decides, "Hey, have you talked to your mother lately? Have you just checking in with you, you know? How's have you talked to our son?" It's like, "No." And then my apprentice chimes in right after that and says, "Hey, send me, the invoice." It's like, "It's the 10th already?" You know what I'm saying? It's that chaotic. It's that level of focus that takes place when you're truly dedicated and committed to the path that you walk. It's not about the world. It's about you and your personal growth, your personal journey into the magics and the mysticism, the spirituality, dealing with the supernatural, okay, to the ancient gods, you know, getting to know your ancestors through conjuration and reanimation of spirits. It doesn't matter if it's invocation or evocation. Either way, you're trying to contact your ancestors, okay? Or even the gods and goddesses that you work with. Your whole goal as a practitioner is to root out your weaknesses, learn about those weaknesses, and turn them into positives, into strengths. It is about going from that little god and making yourself into a god through self mastery. It's about knowledge and growth. And that's what it's about. You are becoming a master or mistress of the dark arts, of any practice that you walk in. It doesn't matter if it's necromancy, it doesn't matter if it's Satanism, it doesn't matter if it's Buddhism, shamanism. It doesn't matter if it's witchcraft, pagan or Wiccan traditions. It doesn't matter if it's African Caribbean. You are the one doing the work. You, no one else. So when you are contacted for services and word gets around that you specialize in something, that they need to seek you out for that particular item or items, then you need to apply yourself and earn your keep. Show them what type of person you are, what kind of practitioner you are, witch or warlock. Okay. And this means that you don't have to hurry and get the product out. If you know what you're doing, you know what items can be placed in that. So it's just a matter of quickly doing it. You know, I actually got on DoorDash. It's something I recently learned how to do. Okay. My ex actually turned me on to it. So I don't even have to go to to a fast food joint or, to say Subway or wherever to get something for eating. If I need something for my magical practice, I don't have to go to a store. I can just have a DoorDash and they bring it to me, already paid for, with a tip in general. I'm beginning to like that app. But here it is. So there was one item that I needed for me personally, and then another item that I needed for the phylacteries that I'm making. So I ordered both at the same time. Grand total about 20 bucks. So it's pretty cool. So I ended up getting that one item I needed for these magical amulets, you know? And it's funny because they're already done. I already saw them done. I knew exactly what they need. So I just made them. I put them together with the tools that I felt they needed. I've got them painted right now. The last side is being dried right now. They are drying right now. And then all I have to do is put the finishing seals on them. Let them dry, place in the parachute cord, and then send them out. Don't have to wait a week. Don't have to wait 2, 3 weeks. Charging something when you learn how to channel properly, you can do it very easily. You don't need a big ass freaking, 3-day ritual to do something. You don't need a 4-hour ritual to do something. If you have a mantra or, some sort, a magical phrase that you use and can learn to master to do a charging ritual for, say, protection. There are numerous scrolls, numerous texts out there from the S- clavicle of Solomon, for an example. Let's go with the Grimorium Vernum or the True Black Magic. Go into the Grand Grimoire or the Grand Grimoire Red Dragon, and you're going to see how metals can be utilized for protection, for prosperity, even for healing. Go into the three books of occult philosophy by Agrippa. Same exact thing. You're dealing with alchemy, you're dealing with astronomy, and you're dealing with planetary magic, not just metals of seven rare metal variety. But you're going to see how all of this stuff plays into effect and how you, the witch or warlock, can create them. If you're following any of the Hebraic systems, you're most likely going to be calling on Adonai, Jehovah or Jesus Christi, even, you know, you're going to be calling on the white light fashion of zealotry. Okay. It was created after the church took power. That's what most people today literally utilize for practices. Okay. Why else would they work with the JCI type deities, the Catholic angelic orders such as St. Peter, St. Michael, St. Gabriel, and so forth? Did you ever stop to wonder why that was when their own Bible says that you should not let a witch suffer to live? They would rather put you to death and control you rather than let you free. So why would you want to practice that? Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you did your own research and take the practices back long before Christianity, before Catholicism, Catholicism, take it back before Zoroastrianism, go back to the ancient days and get out of that Hebraic system, then you would see the Hexa, the Eshi, the Aji, the Strega in its pure sense, uncorrupted, where they used herbs, natural tools of the earth, both human, animal, and earthly bound things naturally. And they did it creating things such as phylacteries for power, totems, dark totems, relics used for power, energy storage. You go into talismans. They were known to protect a space, a place. And with the right glyphs, you can literally bind a spirit or a soul to that location. An amulet is meant to be carried. It is used for protection, but it can also be used for other, let's just call it the way it is, other properties that you can harness, such as protection, such as healing. And if you follow the old ways, then you would know that they were gold, silver, bronze, and sometimes even gems such as rubies, jade, cornelia, and other based gems. In tribal conditions, you're looking at bones, both human or animal alike. Nowhere in history does it say that anybody killed anybody. But yet, in today's society, they assume that the items were theft, stolen, or that they were human or animal sacrificed. Did the thought process of these lawmakers and these little groups, such as ARM, for an example, that's based out of Florida, did you ever stop to think that, oh, the people are already dead? Or how about the animals were found? I mean, how many times do you go down a street or down a trail and find a corpse, an animal corpse, just lying there, half eaten, half decayed? Would you not go into that and grab the tools that you need for your practice, which is based under the First Amendment right, freedom of religion, a religious practice, especially if you're into necromancy or, say, African Caribbean traditions, where bones and blood are a big key in practices? Hmm. Why else would these people have green cards, so to speak, to buy huge amounts of food and livestock? Think about that for just a moment. I want you to seriously think about that. Chocolate milk, calcium for the bones, for the teeth, helps the eyes. I was talking with a friend of mine earlier today, talking about herbs. Certain herbs and metals can be combined, certain ingredients can be combined for elixirs, for powders, for certain wanga. For those of you not familiar with the term wanga, think of it as a cursing jar or a voodoo doll. Just a couple of things. Cauldron, housing the spirits, magical cauldron type thing. But here it is. When you look at any tradition, even the Hebraic systems from Hebrew, Judaism, which is what Catholicism and mainstream JCI, Judo Christian institutions, were based off of, they performed human and animal sacrifices, just like any other tradition. But yet they see themselves as superior, which again goes into pride and ego. Okay? So you really want to put that aside, knowing your history, knowing the path that you walk. When you start putting out product and putting out your services, being it as a empath, a reader, a medium of some sort, maybe even a creator of phylacteries, maybe a spellcaster, such as a Bokor or a warlock, a Bruo, for an example, just to name a couple. But it doesn't stop there. It can go into any tradition. You put out jewelry, rings, you put out plaques and tapestries. You may have a knack for it. You may have a knack for utilizing alchemy and creating things. You may be good at creating powders, elixirs. Somebody else, probably not. Doesn't mean you're not magical blooded. doesn't mean you can't perform magic. It doesn't mean that you can't perform services. Look at those who run certain establishments. They're earthbound white light types. That's right, I'm talking Wiccan and paganism in this case. Talking shamanism, like the Dukan of Indonesia, or the medicine men of Native American or Indian tribes. Any way you look at it, healing and herbs are a part of our society and our practices. Where do you think your medical supplies came from? Where do you think they derived from these oh, I can't think of the term right off the bat, but the generic, that's the one. These generic medications come from that society takes on a day-to-day basis. But yet you go to a hospital where they or a doctor's office to pay what, 1,000, about $400, $500 a trip? Huh. You go to a Bruo, a Warlock, a Bokor, you'll be paying a fraction of what you'll be paying these people. Because unlike them, they're not going to sit there and stand at a computer screen and type in all this things that are wrong with you. They're not going to go nationally and go, oh, how many cases of this is there? What I wonder what it could be. Small red blotch on the skin, numerous spots. Well, that could be chickenpox, or it's itchy, it's inflamed. Yeah, maybe. Or how about your joint is swollen beyond belief? Now that's one of two things, because both of these mimic each other, and number one is gout, and the other one is an ingrown toenail. So you need something with some form of acetone based in it, such as apple juice, for an example, to get rid of the gout, the inflammation, the plaque that builds up on the joints. You see, you don't need a medical degree for that. It is just a matter of learning herbalism and learning the body. Learning that lemon juice, for an example, you know, prevents gallstones and kidney stones. It's a blood purifier. You know, turmeric, let's say garlic, for an example. Both of these items lowers cholesterol and helps the liver, not just the heart. But yet, how do people know this if you don't know what you're doing? This is why it's important to do your own homework. I sent my apprentice a couple books that I recommended to him. It was based off herbalism. There was a guy back in the 90s. He was about 20, 40-year veteran of herbalism. That's all he specialized in. He was a pagan. Scott Cunningham was the guy's name. Put out several books. Several books. One hell of an herbalist. He's actually the reason why I ended up getting into elixirs, powders, and various other concoctions, including poisons. Studying these properties as a herbalist. When I got into baneful magic and really got serious about that from a necromantic perspective, adding in the elixirs, amazing, amazing. Who would have known that just a little bit of this and that, could bring you in touch with that veil? Not permanently, just slightly. Amazing. Things like hembane and white Oriolander, yew and yarrow, you know, are just some of them. Amazing, amazing studies just on those alone. But if you are hired to do a job, it helps to know what you're doing. It helps to know what properties are at your disposal, what tools are at your disposal and around you that you can sit there and go, okay, I got to put this together for protection or for him or her, you know. What kind of seals am I going to need? What day of the week do I need to do this on? If you're following the Solomantic properties of this, you'd go with Saturday, which is Saturn. Okay. You'd be dealing with the sun aspect of Saturn because of the fact that the sun is on healing and protection. It is about the vibrational harmony of things where you increase that bountiful, pleasured aspect of it. Okay. Whereas dealing with the moon, say, for an example, the full moon, um, black moon, hunter's moon, blood moon, whatever, you are literally utilizing the nocturnal aspects to make change through manifestation. And if you're doing it in, say, for example, the hours of meridian, for those of you who don't know this, that is between midnight and 3 a.m., okay, in the morning. 9 times out of 10 people are asleep during this time. And this is where you get the best Z state of slumber that your body needs. Okay. So here we are, items being purchased, being requested. Why would you put an item in a shoebox? Why would you put turkey feathers and a lot of paper in it to make it look like a wenga? I don't know about you, but if I was going to do a curse, I would utilize a coffin. I would literally take pewter or, say, oak, carve it out, put it together, paint it, place the seals and the glyphs on it that I required for that rite. Work with, if I wanted to judge somebody, for an example, I would utilize the glyph of the old scale, the gold versus the feather, if it's uniquity, or how about the way somebody lived, like the human heart in the feather, according to Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead. That's one thing I always liked about Osiris, the god of uniquity in Egypt, and that of Anubis. Both of these judge you on the way you choose to live your life. If you are fake and you are trying to do this work, trying to make that quick buck, the world's going to see it. May not be upfront, but eventually they're going to see it and wonder, why did I contact that person? Why did I do this and spend so much money? I was an idiot. Yeah. But you ask around about anybody, any type of group, you're going to find mostly good conversations about that person. You may come across somebody that doesn't know their history, doesn't know, what they're talking about because they've heard something, okay? Just heard something that they thought was negative, and they want nothing to do with it. So they go, don't get involved with him or her. Don't get involved with that person. You see, that's keeping that stereotype going. It's bringing that negativity with them and passing it on to somebody else. It's called fear tactic. Psychological warfare, showing people that fear is the greatest weapon. Welcome to the JCI, the Judo Christian Institutions. They mastered this. People are so fucking scared of witchcraft, of herbalism, that they can't even tell the difference between a Santero and a Satanist. Wow. And yet they'll go to this ex-Satanist and buy their books and eat up their propaganda long before they go to a Dukan for the use of Santet. Boggles the mind. So yes, ask around and you'll get the information. Do your own homework. Learn the materials and you can do the work yourself. And I'm not saying it's not okay to hire somebody to do it. Just know who you're dealing with. That's all I'm saying. Do your homework first. Ask around about them. How many talk to some of their clients. Hey, was this person good or did they do their job? Did it come out awesome? You know, what what is your opinion on this practitioner? You know, that's the information you need before you purchase any information. You see, I've never had to go out and go, "Hey, I'm the best at this or that." Somebody comes to me, "Hey, you specialize in this, right?" Like, "Yeah." "Why, you want my services?" "Sure." "Okay, I'll take care of it." My clients are always happy. I think I only had maybe 1 or 2 that were not happy because it didn't result in their expected time frame. And I kept telling them, "It's not about your time frame, it's about the universe. Once you do a rite, especially one like this, and you put it out there, the universe is gonna have their way. You see, there's my way, your way, and the universe's way. Don't even get me started if you're bringing in the supernatural, such as angels or jinn or demons, you know, into the fold, because there's another conscious way right there, which makes the fatal four way. So once you cast a spell, it is out of your hands. You don't get a say when that shit goes down. Anybody who knows their stuff knows this. You don't want to be patient and sit back and listen to instruction. That's on you. This is why when any magical operation takes place, it is not the practitioner that suffers, it's the client because of one of two things. Number one, you go to other practitioners trying to get things done. This limits what is being done. Number two, you don't tell the whole story. Either way you look at it, the client is always the one that pays the price, not the practitioner. Okay? But if you're going to do work and you say you're going to do the work, then you need to be a man or a woman and step up to the freaking plate and do the work. and don't make it look cheesy. Do it professionally, okay? But as for me personally, I've had a lot of good experiences over the last month and a half. Since I went into seclusion, separated from society, been spending a lot of time reading, studying, and practicing, communing with those that I serve and work with. I've seen a lot of things. I was sitting here for an example, waiting for this video to start up, and all of a sudden I felt this pull. It was like being in a black hole, that tidal force that just pulls you. It's almost like suspended animation, if you will, but it was like that momentary glitch of where it's like everything's pointing right there. And if you could see where I'm pointing right here, that's where my temple is. Literally right there, right off my office. Okay? Right there. If I go this way, it goes out into the other parts of the apartment. But right here is my temple. And I can tell you that I've been seeing this stuff lately, images mostly of beings, of structures and designs. I saw a gateway with an ancient writing. This particular writing is known as Hellgate. It's been a long time since I've even looked at that language, the Hellgate, because the Hellgate system is actually associated with an ancient Lebanon language known as the Chaldeans. You see, it was the Chaldeans that became the Canaanites, and the Canaanites became Lebanon. Hey, you're talking a dead language here, a dead language no longer spoken, like Aramaic. Very few individuals worldwide know of that language, and I mean very few, maybe 4 or 5 max, if that. Probably a little bit more. My count could be off. More people know of Aramaic than they do of the Hellgate system, which is interesting. But the design and the way it came through, spectacular. I've had an increase of finances over the last couple of weeks. My job at work has been getting a lot of attention from the higher ups. For an example, my boss asked me to what do I do from the time that I get there to the time other people get there. So I wrote it down 11 steps. 11 steps only. Gave it to him. Apparently, I'm the only one that has everything up and running that fast. It's a shock to me. I didn't know it was a rat race. I've told him, I said, yeah, good luck with that. We're going to need at least 2 people for this, that. If you want everybody to do this and one person to do all this, you know, I mean, let's face it, not everybody is like me who wants to better themselves, who wants to become better and be able to do more. You see, this is what I mean by a marathon. You see, it doesn't matter if it's your own practice. It doesn't matter if you're at work. You're not in a contest with other people. You're in contest with yourself. That's what it's about. It's about you. Do you want to rise like the phoenix? being reborn constantly and becoming better, shedding your skin like a serpent and becoming that, better version of you, becoming smarter. I mean, my store manager and I were talking the other day, Thursday, because I would have been the only one there until, like, 7 a.m. when somebody else came in. So he ended up coming in around 6, about an hour early. He had called me, like, 4 or 4:30 area, saying, "Hey, the girl that was supposed to come in, no show." Okay? She decided, "I'm not coming in." She gave me a text. Well, guess what? I didn't care about that. I had everything up and running. I was sitting there mopping the floors, doing miscellaneous stuff by 4:30. Store's been open for like 30 minutes. Well, to be fair, it was actually like 20 or 30 minutes, really, because sometimes I unlock those doors about 10 after because I'm not paying attention to the time. I don't have my phone attached to my hip like most people do. You know, I can turn off my phone and spend days just in here alone and not even give a shit. All of a sudden it's like, oh, it's Tuesday morning. I got to go to work. Shit, where'd the time go? But that's just me. That's just me. So I had maybe 6 or 7 customers between drive-through, on the go, and in the lobby. In fact, 4 people were still sitting in the lobby. They came in at once. Okay. And that was just 1 out of 6 group of people. As soon as my manager got there, the shit hit the fan. Constant wall to wall, inside, on the go, and through. I mean, people were wrapped around the building. And he and I were just sitting there going, what the hell's going on? He's looking at me asking, did you place a spell on this place? I'm like, no, you know? And it was just that insane, and that busy. And, but here it is. I found out that same day that, I'm getting a pay raise. Now I'm getting a pay raise. It's like, I don't want a pay raise. I really don't. I mean, having a good influx of money is okay, I guess, but I'm not a greedy guy, you know? As long as I have the things that I need for my practices and my studies, I'm good. That my familiars have a place to reside. My son has a place to reside if he so chooses to come here and spend time with daddy. That's what matters to me. Okay. So here I am studying and I'm practicing, I'm applying myself, I'm seeing these images. And, I took like 400 that I had in there and I took it out and I gave some of it away to somebody that lives here in the city. That I knew was a con person, and I wanted to test that person. So I gave them like $300 out of all the money that was sitting in there. I used some of it for magical supplies, and the rest I put in the bank. Starting January 1st, I began anew. As you guys know, full 2 years and 3 months is how long I'm doing what I'm doing. 150%, or as my brother John Saunders would have said, 666%. Damn, I miss him. I remember he used to contact me about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because he lived up in Canada. Just wanted bullshit and talk. Always checked in. He was very few. So, anyways, after he died, I delved further into the arts, like I always do. But yeah, I started a routine. I got into fasting, learned a whole new fast, by the way, outside of the three that I already was aware of. I actually did. I talked about this in a video, I think last year, um, where I talked about the black fast being a very extreme version of Catholic fasting, going as far back as the 11th century. The Daniel's fast, which roughly goes as far back as the Bible, which is 16th century, and then what is known as the Keta fast, which is more modern day. But I recently found out that there was another fast called the milk fast. And I've been doing a lot of research on this, and what it entails is it, you two better knock it the hell off. I got two of my familiars decided it's playtime at 10:18 p.m. You keep it up, I'll put your ass in a crate. Don't you get lippy with me, mister. I'll come over there and I'll get you. So, anyways, um, he's the runt of the litter, if you catch the meaning. He's still a kitten. He'll be two, um, was it in a couple of weeks, I think. So, he likes to run and play and pick on his sisters and then wonders why his sisters gang up on him and kick his ass. Yep. It's like, don't look at me, buddy. Don't look at me. I'm not going to help you. You're going to learn. So, anyways, the milk fast is a fast that uses milk that is not contaminated. Think of it as raw milk. Okay. So, you look at most of what the product is today, it's contaminated with pesticides and a lot of other non natural um, biological stuff that is implemented into the foods that animals eat. Things like cattle who produce milk. Okay. Now, this contaminates that milk, so it is no good. But if you can find milk that is like goat's milk or um, other forms of milk, milk that has not been tainted, this is considered to be raw milk. And she's gonna whoop your ass, T-Bones, and the rest of us is just gonna laugh at you. So, so raw milk is basically a product that you can drink. Like, say, you take a, let's say, for example, you take a glass. Okay, let me hold this back here so you can see it. One glass of milk. Okay, that's roughly about 500 grams of potassium, 50 grams of calcium, and 100 grams of something else. I can't remember what it is offhand. I've never actually taken the time to study milk before, so this is actually something new that I'm learning. So, but yeah, so just one glass of milk per day without food. You can drink the necessary amounts of water along with it, but this here gives you all that nutrients to sustain your teeth, your vision, and your bones. It also has that fatty acids. And I think that, yeah, that was the other thing, the 100 um percent range of fatty acids, the fat contents that help nourish your body. So all that time you're doing your business throughout the day, um, you're losing that product, that the potassium and the calciums and all that stuff. You're getting rid of it. Um, so This raw milk is actually replenishing what you're losing for nutrients, which is kind of interesting because I did not know that prior. I mean, I knew that milk was used for strengthening the bones and the teeth, but it helps the eyes. But I didn't realize it did all this too. So that was kind of interesting to learn. So that's what the milk fast is. If you're doing, like, say, an 18-hour fast, then guess what? A glass of milk here and there will help you maintain that without losing any of that potassium, that calcium, and the fats that your body needs. Weightlifters utilize this. Those who go to the gym, sports. How do you even actors utilize this? So I mean, it's pretty cool to learn. Hey, this is one of the things that they do. They don't just increase what they're eating, but it's how they're eating. It's how they're fasting. I think it was Ben Affleck, the guy that played Batman. He was on a talk show last year, I think it was, and he was talking about how he got fit for the no, it wasn't Ben Affleck. It was the guy that plays Superman. The guy that plays in The Watcher as well. I forget the guy's name. He was sitting there saying that underneath the skin, your body is retaining so much water. So if you cut back on the water for like most of the day, you're getting rid of that water. So if you're thinking fasting, getting into shape, you want a routine. So I started working out 3, sometimes 4 times a week. Adjusted my diet. Okay, I'm eating a lot of salads, but I'm also eating only once a day. Okay. So I'm transferring most of what I'm eating, substituting what I'm eating for things like a glass of milk, increasing my ingestion of water, basic H2O. I prefer bottled water um, over that, over tap water. But if I have to, tap water will do just as well. So outside of getting that routine down, I've got cardio about 4 days a week, sometimes five, depending on how often I'm scheduled at work. So the rest of the time, that leaves me the rest of the time to study and practice and find new combinations of powders and elixirs to use for my practices, to experiment with phylactery creation and to master, what I'm doing. So that's pretty cool. So, does it taste terrible? Talking about goat's milk? Let's just say it's a taste to be required. As for raw milk, it's basically just fresh milk right from the tap, basically, is all that is. Um, you can, if you're good at alchemy, you can take the milk that's at the store, the kind that you get. You can actually filter out the toxins if you have the know-how. Me, I can't really drink plain milk. I have a hard time taking it in. Not really sure why. It's always been that way for the last 12, 13 years. I have to have something in it like Hershey syrup or, maybe that strawberry syrup, to make it chocolate milk or strawberry milk. So, I mean, I can have it with cereal. So I don't understand, why my body just rejects it flat out when I drink it like this. It's weird, but yeah, goat's milk has interesting taste to it. It's thicker, but it's also more dense. It's got a taste that is more, well, I'll just tell it to you this way, it's bitter. Raw milk, on the other hand, never had it. Haven't really tried it yet, so it'll be interesting to try it, and I'll let you know. Okay. So if you get to it before me, B and T's radical boss in Pythons, if you get to it before me, let me know because I've got to actually hunt it down. I don't have many choices around where I live. I may have to delve into alchemy and filter out the toxins. I really don't want to put all that effort into that, but if I have to, I'll do it. I'd rather just see if I can find it first. But that's that. But yeah, so outside of my magical practices, I've been seeing a lot of things, and it's like the veil has been pulled back even further because I'm now seeing things before they happen. The upcoming event, what's going on with China and Taiwan, I saw that coming. I saw the new influenza that's coming out coming. I've seen the riots and the shootings coming long before they did this, and now the government doing their thing, not just the natural stuff. Earthquakes are increasing. Weather patterns are becoming more severe. I once asked this question in a group that I'm in, and I asked the question, do you suppose that what we do as practitioners, because I know that many of the old texts speak to rites that deal with thunderstorms and earthquakes through certain spirits. Well, without delving into spirits, supernatural beings such as demons, can a practitioner practicing black magic or some form of sorcery, such as utilizing the Da'ath energies, could they manipulate the currents and create certain forms of aromancy changes, transfigurations? How about geomancy, even? Geomancy, for those of you who don't know, and aromancy are number two and number three of the seven forbidden arts. Necromancy being the first, the blackest, according to the church. And that's what I practice. And I find it interesting because every time I do a curse or I do some form of massive rituals, there is a massive upheaval somewhere across this country of the United States. The weird temperatures, you know, conflicting, creating huge, massive storms to extreme hot temperatures when it's normally around 25 degrees, heat domes, heat waves. I've been documenting this stuff for the past 6, 7 years, and I'm seeing a pattern every time I do this stuff. And number one, I know without a shadow of a doubt that it's correlating with when I do these rites. Okay. When I do these rites, I see some form of after effect. There's always a price, one that I'm willing to pay. But to see how it's affecting the world, that is interesting. And I asked the question, It was matter of fact, it was just a couple of weeks ago that I asked this question. Like I said in this group, and I said, "Do you suppose that what we do as practitioners, those of us who have a lot of power, some behind us, those of us who know what we're doing and knowing what we're talking about, for an example, Frank White, the founder of the Serpent of the Grail, or the Grail of the Serpent, rather. He went from Germany to LA a couple of years ago. And then what was it last year, the year before, he moved to California. I think it was. Next thing you know, there's huge forest fires over that way. In the eastern seaboard, riots from Tennessee to Washington, D.C., all the way up to New York. The weather being afflicted on a massive level. The government shuts down not once but twice between two different presidential candidates. You're seeing war breaking out, not just between the government and the citizens, but you're also seeing countries going to war with countries. And I know practitioners are worldwide. There's a lot of us that know what we're doing. But it kind of makes you wonder what would happen if we put ley line, a map of the ley lines over where all these occurrences are taking place. Geologists are talking about the polar shift. They say that's the cause of the weather fluctuations and the animals dying off. But yet, according to biblical, aspects, it's Book of Revelations. There's a lot of aspects to view here, so it kind of makes you wonder, what is it that you need to believe in? What is it that you want to believe in, religiously speaking, practice speaking? So I've been contemplating on that a lot. And like I said, the things I've been seeing when I'm in there, through my meditations and the chanting, the worshiping, and the practices that I've been doing, I've been seeing a lot of different things. Most of them, I'll tell you right now, don't make sense to me. Really doesn't make sense. It's just images. Like you got something that looks like a doorway or a gate, and then all of a sudden it looks like it has horns, but yet it's like a single outline going like this, horns, and then straight down, almost like you're looking at somebody's face. Seeing different colored eyes. Seeing places. I don't know. I just know that I've been spending a lot of time in here and I'm enjoying it because I'm doing it for me, no one else. But every so often, I get somebody that wants my services. It's like, cool. It gives me something to do and kind of gets me out of this room and away from the workforce. And out of the ritual chamber for a few minutes. So yeah, there's a lot that I can do, but I don't have to go out and flaunt it like most people because I'm too busy trying to master things and to learn and constantly learn. I guess that's the difference between true magicians, true practitioners, and those who are just in it for popularity. I refer to that type as the reverse Christian. Because if you look at Christians, that's what it's about. It's about popularity. It's about numbers. It's about being liked. It's not about mastering anything. You want to master something, pick up a book, learn the book, read the book, study the book, study the tradition or traditions in that system of magic. Learn the gods and what they can do for you. Choose a path that fits you perfectly. For me, I found my calling. After 30 years, I found my calling. I'm a necromancer. And ever since I got into, I know my apprentice hears this, he's probably gonna, send a message my way. Brujeria, Brujeria. That's right. Brujeria practices of necromancy. I really enjoy it. I really, really enjoy that. And not just because it deals with 5 different types of magic, colored magics, but because it's freeing. It is a tradition that allows you to delve into anything and everything for your knowledge, your growth, and your maturity, not just your self evolution. For you to evolve, you've got to be able to master yourself and other things. This path allows me to do that for me. So the question is, can you do the same? Are you that dedicated? Are you that committed? Are you willing to sacrifice everything in the pursuit of happiness? Or do you want to be a part of a world and a lie? I chose to pursue happiness. Yeah, the last 6 years was good. Had some ups and downs though, but guess what? I ended up with a son, an heir. Yeah, I was in my late 30s by the time I had him, but it's there. It's funny how his mother and I hang out more now that we're separated than we did when we were actually together. Figure that one out. Fact is, she's a Baptist and I'm an occult practitioner. What the hell? So yeah, try to understand the universe, and the universe throws you more curveballs. It's like, fuck me, dude. So yeah, matter of fact, she's gonna be here in about 20 minutes to give me the last 2 items I need for the ritual I got going on tonight for a client. So I'm gonna wrap this up. All right. Hope you learned something. I want number one, I wanted to give you the update on what's been going on in my own life and my practices. Everything's going awesome. I'm seeing a lot of benefits from it. You know, um, I've been walking this path and enjoying it. It's influencing my entire life, but also other aspects such as my job, my career, the people that I associate with. And also, I'm finding the better versions of myself. I really like that. I'm glad I got into necromancy. That's the best thing I ever did. Did I find my place in the hierarchy of the ministry, being an elder? Yep, but hey, it's not for everybody. So yeah, keep trekking on. Remember that whatever you preach, always back it up with numerous facts. And always make yourself available to the public because you are responsible for the things that you say and do. Okay? So I hope you learned from the first half of this for those of you who are seeking out practitioners for services. Hope you learned about that. Be able to tell the signs. Okay? Instead of pissing your money away on falsity and needlessly, on people that really don't know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, true practitioner, their actions, their work speaks for themselves. Plain and simple. That's the best way I could put it there. So I hope you learned from what I had to say. I hope you took notes. I apologize. It took an hour and 16 minutes and 50 seconds and counting. Wow, time definitely flies when you're having fun. Um, so, anyways, I want to thank BNT's Radical Boas and Pythons, two of the best serpents out there, as far as I'm concerned. Although, to be fair, I do like anacondas. Really do like that one. And if you like tricky little bastards, you gotta go with the spitting cobra. Because number one, they can spit the venom at you, and number two, they can inject it through their fangs. So mm, I love the serpents. I really do. Mm. But anyways, thank you for jumping on here with me. And for those of you who will watch this after the fact, hope you learned something. And if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. If you want to see more of what I discuss and do, feel free to hit the notification button. I'm not on all the time, but I do get on just long enough to see, maybe once or twice a day. I'll see if there's any notifications. Most of the time, for me, it's other people that I follow. But outside of that, I'll reply when I see it. All right. Have a good one.